on BYUSN. BYU football has TV and kick times for 4 games. What do we like?
Plus, we'll take our shot. Which bowl game will BYU play in this season?
Sugar Bowl! Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Thursday, June 1st. I'm Jarom Jordan, teamed up with a man who still has a Franklin planner, Jason Shepard.
It's, in fact, my ESPN pages in said Franklin planner tell me something pretty important is coming up. In fact, hit it.
Countdown to the Big 12.
1 month away. 1 month, Shep.
1 month.
Yeah, baby.
Until the air's sweeter, food tastes better.
Everything's richer, pun intended.
Honestly, no more pollution. Children no longer fight with each other in the house.
The lamb shall lie down with the lion.
In 1 month, everything changes for the better.
Hold on, it's the millennium? Oh, no, it's the Big 12, BYU Sports Millennium. This is exciting. LJ Pearson won. Hey, guys. My birthday's July 1st. Can I get a shout-out on a Big 12 countdown? Well, there you go. And look at the jersey shop.
Oh, my goodness. These eyes, my friend, have never seen anything as beautiful as that.
Mine, your wife is offended. 1 month away, bro. I'm excited, man. Big 12 logos have been popping up here and there throughout, September 2021 to now. But, we're going to see them on the pitch, the court, the fields. Smith Fieldhouse, it was going up a couple weeks ago. So we'll see when it goes on LaVell Edwards Stadium.
Yeah, we're assuming it would be sometime after Stadium of Fire. That would make sense.
Dave McCann will sort of orchestrate Stadium of Fire and then be like, get out of here.
Dave will be like, get out of here. We got to get this logo on.
Can't wait, man. 1 month.
I know. It's going to be awesome. All right, on today's show, lots to get to. We will react to the announcement of 4 of BYU football's kickoff times as well as their channel information. New running back Deion Smith joins us to talk transferring from Colorado. I'm excited for this conversation. It'll be fun to talk with Deion. Which of our favorite snacks would make a great bowl game sponsor? Delicious. And track and field's Claire Seymour and Meghan Hunter both qualified for nationals. They'll be in Studio B to relive the excitement and look ahead to Austin.
Part of that 4x400 record-setting performance at regionals. Looking forward to that conversation. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
Cody Epps. Micah Harper. Into the end zone. Touchdown. A catch. A touchdown. Is tackled on the boundary by Ben Bywater. Max Tooley. Cougs hold.
Holding's illegal. What's Trending is presented by Tim Daly Ford, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. We've got 4 of the 12 regular season TV channels. The kick times, they are out. Here they are in case you missed it. Week 1, Sam Houston, 10:15 Eastern on FS1. Welcome to the Fox family in the Big 12 and ESPN. Week 2 against Southern Utah, 3 Eastern on Big 12 Now, a.k.a. ESPN Plus. That's streamed only. Week 3 at Arkansas. Prime time, baby, 7:30 Eastern on the Deuce, ESPN2, and Week 5 against Cincinnati on a Friday night, 10:15 Eastern on ESPN. Shep, what do you think of these 4?
I like it. I thought BYU fared quite well in the first 4 that are at least announced. It's weeks 1 through 3 and then 5, as you mentioned. So it's not the first 4 weeks.
We already knew that was going to be a home ESPN game.
Look,
that's why it's on a Friday.
It was 2 days ago that you and I are having this conversation, sort of predicting what we thought would happen. And I said that I'm just going to assume that those first 2 games are going to be stream only, that would be on the Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. So the fact that BYU, out of those 4 games that were announced, has only 1 stream only, I think that is a big win for BYU. And to get FS1, ESPN, and ESPN2 as your others, because we were talking about ESPNU for some of these. We thought there was a chance Arkansas would be in ESPNU. Oh, no. It's going on the Deuce.
Yeah.
So I think this is fantastic. Now, you can debate whether or not you like the 10-15, but guess what? That's one of the reasons BYU's in the Big 12.
That debate's 5 years old.
But I'm just saying, that was one of the selling points. That's not going away. And if you're going to be on ESPN and FS1 at 8:15, I will take that.
Yes. Okay. FS1 for game 1 is awesome because that's the second best channel in the Fox family, right? And obviously being on an ABC would be number 1. ESPN would be number 2. ESPN2 would be number 3. To me, FS1 is the 4th best TV option for any game that BYU has. And that's a good one because, listen, that's great. I'd rather be on FS1 than ESPNU. And obviously all of these are ESPN+.
You know what that also means? That like during Colin Cowherd's show on FS1, there's going to be graphics and promos for BYU on FS1.
Yes.
That's exactly what that means.
Against Sam Houston, new FBS team. Okay, week 2, Southern Utah, predictably ESPN+. So they call it Big 12 now on ESPN+. What that means is ESPN+,
right.
So everyone knows, okay? And again, you got to get that to watch Cougar sports.
Just get the bundle.
With Disney+.
With Disney+.
Everybody watching this has
Hulu.
Disney+,
Come on.
probably, right? Come on now. That's the old like BYU TV slot. BYU TV does not have rights to a game anymore. Going to the Big 12, you are in the ESPN and Fox family. Okay, that's how it is. Week 3 at Arkansas. This is probably the best possible scenario for BYU in terms of time and kickoff channel time. ESPN2, amazing. 7:30 Eastern, prime time. SEC Big 12 non-conference matchup. That is great. I don't think BYU could have got a better time or TV channel for that one. I am over the moon over that one. And then week 5, this is the most predictable one besides maybe Southern Utah, which is Cincinnati on a Friday on ESPN, 10:15 Eastern. That's great. So 2 of those 3 home games are 10:15s. Get used to 10:15 if you're not already, like we talked about.
And they will not all be that way.
Right,
but
BYU could.
Yeah, look, like I said, BYU used that as a selling point. You're going to have that late window to have access to with BYU football. That is a reason, one of the many reasons BYU's in the Big 12 is because of that selling point right there.
Yeah, it's the brand, it's what BYU offers, and it offers from a TV standpoint. It's not about DMA anymore. Like, what market are you?
Right.
That still is a thing, but it's not as big a deal. Ask Rutgers and Maryland. But it's the fact that you offer this late-night Saturday TV window of compelling and interesting football, and that's what BYU has. So that's exciting, man. I think BYU ended up, like you said, really good. Like, none of these I'm like, oh, man, that stinks. Like, nope. There's hopefully there's no FS2 games on the schedule.
Right. Certainly not FS3.
And there's not.
Because there is no FS3.
It doesn't exist. But ESPN The Ocho does somehow. This is a good setup for BYU's 4 of the first 5 games. Again, we'll see what later on we get. But, yeah, BYU's in a good spot, man. You're going to be featured on ESPN, ESPN2, FS1, and 3 of the first 4 games. That's great.
In a lot of the other games, you're going to fall into that. What we've seen in the past where you've got that 12-day window where you're going to have to wait for roughly almost 2 weeks before the game to find out exactly the time and the channel. Exactly. So that 12-day window is probably what we're going to be dealing with for the majority of the rest of these games.
You could be Sam Houston, who plays 5 weekday games of Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Right. Yeah.
Those are unique. This is obviously Power 5 football, but this is exciting. And that Friday night against Cincinnati in Week 5, to me, that's the game that sort of pops the most in terms of like initially exciting. Obviously, playing at Arkansas is a great opportunity for BYU, a little revenge after last year's loss at home. Week 4 at Kansas, the Big 12 opener. But I think we're going to have a 21 Utah, 22 Baylor-like energy and vibe in LaVell Edwards Stadium on that Week 5 game against Cincinnati because it's the first home game in the Big 12. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about the excitement in that stadium that night. It's going to be electric.
That is one of those games that you will put down and remember where you were. You know, that'll be in the book of remembrance. You know what I'm talking about? That's going to
make in heaven when you die, you open it up and
I'm
you're
just saying,
it's Cincinnati.
Look, I'm not going to take that off the table, okay?
It might be there.
You're going to remember that game.
Yeah.
The people that are able to get tickets for that game and be in the stadium and experiencing that, that's going to be awesome. And I agree with you. That is going to have an energy like none other because of it being the very first Big 12 home game. The fact that it's Friday, that it's on ESPN, everybody's going to see it. That place is going to be crazy.
Nostris Nocturnus, as we've said on this program. Seize the night.
Yes.
Own the night.
All right, in addition to the game times and where you can watch, the Big 12 also announced their bowl affiliations for the upcoming season. So we'll go in order just based off of date here. So December 16th, you have the Independence Bowl. December 26th, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. December 27th is the Texas Bowl. December 28th, the Pop Pop-Tarts Bowl. More on that coming up.
Used to be Cheez-It.
Yeah, it used to be Cheez-It.
Yep.
Yes.
Cheez-It.
Yeah.
Good reference to like an 06 YouTube video.
Which is hilarious. So funny. And December 28th, the Alamo Bowl, and December 29th, the Liberty Bowl.
Yep.
So those are the bowl affiliations for Big 12 teams. Some of these are versus Pac-12 teams. Some are against Big 10 teams.
Yep.
You know, you got
a lot of these are Power 5 on Power 5.
Yeah, it's Power 5 on Power 5. So call your shot. Which bowl game are you calling for BYU to be in of those Big 12 affiliated bowls?
There's two more options. It's a flex, right? First responder or armed forces is in the mix too. It feels like Independence Bowl. It really does. BYU already had the tie there. The Big 12 folded into that with 23 and 25. A couple observations real quick before I call my shot. Only one of these bowls is pre-Christmas. BYU typically has played pre-Christmas.
Yeah.
I still think BYU is going to play pre-Christmas in the Independence Bowl, but it's interesting to check that out. Okay, there are 7 non-New Year's 6 bowls available. Remember, this is a 14-team league. What's going to happen for perhaps the 8th and 9th bowl-eligible teams? Just other at-large bowls, I assume, will happen, because last year in Power 5, among the Power 5 conferences, only one team conference didn't produce at least 8 bowl-eligible teams, and it was 9+ in 3 of the 5. It was the Pac-12 with 7. So I would imagine that the Big 12's got a good shot at 8 or more. They only have 7 bowl affiliations. We'll see what happens with that. I do think that it will end up being the Independence Bowl back in Shreveport on December 16th against the Pac-12. If Utah's season just hits the crapper, maybe BYU and Utah actually play this year.
Yeah.
Like 2015, where they didn't plan on playing and they ended up playing in year 2 of that we're not playing 2-year set. If BYU 7-5 and perhaps 5-4 in Big 12 play, I could see the Independence Bowl in there. Now remember, BYU now joins a league where it shares the bowl money.
Right.
And unlike the ACC, they don't have disproportionate revenue sharing based on merit. Okay. So no matter what, BYU is getting a portion of the $8.2 million for whoever goes to the Alamo Bowl, $6.4 in the Texas, $6 million in the Pop-Tart Bowl, plus you get $6 million Pop-Tarts. My stepdad drove a truck when I was growing up, and there was an accident, and a bunch of Pop-Tarts spilled everywhere. We had boxes of Pop-Tarts forever. I got so sick of Pop-Tarts, but I'm back in the Pop-Tart game. The Independence Bowl is 2.2, which is the 5th most among those 7. So it's not a bad deal, but certainly if you're BYU, you'd like to get in the 4.7 plus game later. But again, it almost doesn't matter. Like you want a compelling matchup, but you're getting an equal portion, perhaps not in the first 2 years.
I was going to say, do we know that for sure?
No.
Because we know obviously they're being worked in gradually in terms of the overall
perhaps
money.
It's half of the portion of that they would have. Maybe in 25 it starts to be an equal part of the 12. I say Indy Bowl. It doesn't really matter this year. I just want to get into a bowl game. I don't really care what the bowl game is because the money that BYU gets from it's shared anyway with the league.
You and I have not discussed where we were going on this at all. But you and I are...
I tried to, but you locked your door and wouldn't let me.
And I blocked you on my phone.
Yeah.
So we're exactly the same. Exact same thing. My reasoning is a little different for the Independence Bowl. I just feel the irony of BYU going to the Independence Bowl.
It's too good.
In 1 year. That makes the storyline is so rich there. But I'm with you. It feels like the Independence Bowl, but with what we know BYU's jumping into with the conference, I do think they're going to be better than everybody expects. So
what does that look like?
I mean, I know people are like
8 wins?
No. I mean, I like the idea of 7 wins. Okay. I think that's. But you have a lot of people that are picking like 5 wins. Yeah. I think that's low.
Yeah, 5's too low.
So I don't think so. If you can get bowl eligible, and if you maybe even get to 7, if you can get to 8, you talk about a fantastic first year in the Big 12. But yeah, if you're 6 or 7 wins in your first year in a new league, to me, it doesn't matter what bowl you go to at that point. That is a big-time win right out of the gate.
Just get in there. It's year 1.
Yes.
We don't know what this looks like in the Big 12. Oh, by the way, you're playing an 11th Power 5 team in all likelihood should you make a bowl game.
Right.
I mean, that is as
But
tough
yes,
as
the
it's ever
idea
been for BYU.
of in the Independence Bowl, a possibility of BYU versus Utah in that's pretty intriguing.
We can hope for the best of both worlds in that situation. Can we not?
Yes.
You see what
I see exactly what you're saying.
Our question of the day is this. What's your reaction to BYU football's 4 TV and kick times? Weigh in on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Nolan Mickelson on Twitter. I'm loving it. Time doesn't matter to me because BYU football is must-see TV. Now, if you're on the East Coast, I imagine it does matter. Like the 10:15s are tough. Those are ending at like 1:30 in the morning. Then you got your 9 a.m. church 25-minute drive away.
25? What are you talking about? An hour?
It very well could be, right? That's tough. I get it. Greg Rosenan on Twitter. Let's go. Royal Blue looks better under the lights. Yes, it does. Jordan Hall on Twitter. I've resigned myself to the idea that on Saturday nights I will only get 4 hours of sleep during the fall. That is the case for perhaps an East Coaster there.
Hey, look, this is the one time I'm really, really happy I have 1:30 church.
I have 1:30 church.
The latest church I've ever had. One was the latest. Now this year we're at 1:30. It's the latest I've ever had.
I kind of love it. I think that the celestial time is 11, the terrestrial time is 9, and then telestial is probably like 1:30. But I kind of love it, bro, because I can sleep
for
in
this
the fall.
season. It's going to work out perfectly.
Well, every season from here on out.
That is
BYU
true.
is playing a lot of 10:15.
Amen to that. All right, the first BYU Sports Nation game day of 2023.
Oh, we're going there.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about it already. That will get you ready for BYU's first game as a member of the Big 12 against Sam Houston, and you can check it out Saturday, September 2nd at 8 Eastern on BYU TV. It is almost here.
It's awesome, man. Bearcats with a K. That's how they roll. Colorado transfer and new Cougar running back Deion Smith joins the program after the break. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
I was adopted as a baby.
Love, that's the missing piece.
4 teams are racing to find their family.
I would really love to meet my parents. It's high time that we see each other again.
I'm your dad, Tommy.
I'm your sister, love.
Really?
I just want her to know I forgive you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to an all-new season of Relative Race.
Running away from defenders, touchdown! Hinkley Ropati!
Gregor Bell fighting through, losing his voice mid-game there with the cold, but hey, he's a warrior. He battled through it. We are live in Studio B. Jarom Jordan alongside Jason Shepard with your day-to-day Cougar Sports play-by-play. There's a new running back, y'all. His name's Deion Smith, coming over from Colorado. He now joins us on BYU Sports Nation. Deion, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Hey, we're great. We know TV and kickoff times for the first 5 weeks. We were just talking about it. Bowl tie-ins. It's all exciting. You're coming to BYU. Walk us through the decision to transfer from Colorado to Brigham Young.
For me, the biggest thing is I was looking for a little bit more stability. I was at Colorado from 2018 up until now, and I've been through a good amount of coaches. So I've been through 3 to 4 coaching staffs. And, the biggest thing for me is I just wanted to go somewhere where I could get a fair opportunity to compete and showcase my skills. And I just wanted to be around some great individuals that's kind of already established themselves at a university. So for me, that was the biggest factor, that led me here.
So you have 1 year of eligibility left. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you want out of this year? When you look at this year of college football for you, when you envision what it will be, what is that for you?
My goal is I just want to further improve my stock. There's a lot of things that I'm capable of and skills that I have that I've yet to have the opportunity to put on tape. So the biggest thing for me is just improving my stock, putting the things on tape that I need to put on tape to get me into next year and the next season. And that next season is my plans are the NFL. So I just want to do everything I can to kind of further put myself in a better position to play at that next level.
Deion, specifically, what are some of those things that you're wanting to put on film for the NFL? What are those things you're wanting to showcase?
Well, for me, I feel like my strengths as a back is a lot of running backs get put in the stereotype of, they can't catch. And I feel like I took that and made it a strength. And the biggest thing for me is just focusing on my ability in the pass game. So I kind of put my hat high on just being able to be used in the pass game, be a weapon in space, winning my one-on-ones, making guys miss, and just being an explosive runner. So those are things that I want to put on tape more and further, and that's the biggest thing for me.
20 catches for 133 yards in your career at Colorado in 4 years. I imagine you could have 20 catches next year at BYU, which is exciting. We're talking to Deion Smith, who led Colorado in rushing last year. Certainly a lot of turmoil in terms of the transfer portal there at Colorado. What was it like when Deion Sanders came in and eventually more transfer portal guys than any other team in the country came out of Colorado?
Yeah, that's a frequently asked question, because a lot of people want to know what's going on inside. But for me, it was different, and it was almost the same in a sense. I know that's kind of contradicting, but it was different in a sense to where I've had all of these different coaches. I started off with Coach McIntyre, and then we had Coach Tuck come in. Then we had Carl Durrell come in, and now Coach Prime. So each coach has their period of time where they want to essentially bring in the people that they want to bring in and kind of fix their staff and make the team that they want to create. And so for me, it was different because this was more on a bigger scale. And I say that because a lot of the stuff that was happening before is the same things that are continuously happening. However, it's more out there for everyone to see. It's on social media. Everyone has access to see those things that we're getting told in team meetings. They get to see workouts. So it was different in the sense of there was more eyes on us. However, it was the same process of rebuilding essentially year after year.
Do you have any connections to BYU, whether it be through the coaching staff, any former teammates or anybody you've played with that's on? I'm just kind of curious, if there are any connections. And again, kind of back to the why BYU question, what really drew you here? Do you have any of those connections?
No, sir. Everything BYU to me was brand new. Coach Harv reached out to me. Coach Rod reached out, and they just kind of told me to, get familiar and do my research and just give BYU a chance. And ultimately, that was what I did. I didn't know much about it. I've never been to Provo before. Been to Salt Lake, because I had an official visit out of high school to Utah. And of course, at Colorado, we played Utah pretty often. So, I have been to Utah for those reasons, but never to Provo. Didn't know a whole much about it. And the biggest thing for me was, I felt like, in the recruiting process, they always want to promise you and tell you, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to be our guy, da-da-da. And I honestly wasn't looking for that. I was looking for something a little bit more honest, someone that was just going to tell me, look, you have the opportunity to come in here and compete, and at the end of the day, what you put on tape and what you do on the field you'll be graded and your playing time will reflect that, So the biggest thing for me is getting that fair opportunity. And that was something that I've always kind of wanted. And, coming to BYU, getting to know the coaching staff, coming to Provo, and just even getting to know the players, just kind of helped me really solidify that atmosphere that I was joining. So that was ultimately why.
How much of a selling point was the Big 12 aspect of it? Because we've heard the coaches talk about, since the announcement of going to the Big 12, BYU's had doors open to them that had not been previously opened, and being able to play in the Big 12. You're from Houston, so being able to have Houston in the league and being able to play in Texas, I'm sure that those were all selling points, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, being in Colorado since 2018, I had played in my own state of Texas since 2017. So once I found out that, I had the opportunity to play at home in Austin and even in Fort Worth, it was definitely like, wow, this is a big time school, big time program, great people, big conference. And I had always kind of seen BYU from a distance, just watching games in hotels and different things on different Saturdays. And they always came out there to compete, even in the Pac-12 games. A couple years ago, they won all of the Power 5 games. So, for me, I was just like, this might be something that the Big 12 doesn't expect. And this is definitely a ship I would like to be a part of.
Listen, the fact that that BYU was 5-0 versus the Pac-12 in 2021, we already like you, Deion. 24 carries for 111 yards and a touchdown against Arizona State last season. That looks like your best game. When you are playing well, like you did in that one, what does that look like to you?
Making guys miss in space, winning my one-on-ones, being a weapon in the pass game, showing my speed, getting first downs, always productive, always falling forward, and, just being in that zone, and catching that rhythm. So that's kind of what that essentially looks like to me.
You mentioned Coach Unga and talking with him. How often do you talk with the other running backs that are in the room? What do you know about the other running backs that are on the roster? What do you make of this running back group?
I feel like it's a great group, and I'm excited to be a part of it because just, talking to Coach Harv and, even Coach Rod, they talked about how close the guys are in the room and how, it's a competition. However, everyone is like a family and they make each other better. So for me, that was something I really wanted to be a part of. And I don't know a whole bunch as far as like logistics, stats and everything, but Coach Rod and even Coach Harv kind of laid out everything for me to see and just to let me know everyone's strengths and kind of help me visualize where I have a place in that. And the biggest thing for me is I feel like my versatility. A lot of the backs in the room are bigger guys, a couple speed guys, but for me, I feel like I can do a little bit of everything from in the pass game to, making guys miss, my agility, my ability to make people miss in space. So that's kind of what I know about the room, and I'm excited to join just because, the best rooms that I've seen, even if you look back to my favorite running back room was Georgia, whenever they had DeAndre they had Swift, Chubb, their room was loaded. So, and all of those guys had a different playing style. So for me, I'm excited to be a part of a room where, everyone's strengths will be shown.
That'll be the case with 6'3", 230-pound behemoth Aiden Robbins, 6'1", 190 Deion Smith, and yourself. Hinckley Ropati is excellent in the screen game. Miles Davis is good. L.J. Martin's a talented kid out of El Paso. So it's a very talented group, which is exciting. You mentioned your athleticism, your ability to make people miss. Your mom, your sister, and uncle all played sports in college. Are sports a big deal in your family, and who's the best athlete?
Definitely, we're definitely, competitors. And of course, if I had to, bet on someone, I would definitely bet on myself. So no offense to any of my family members, but, it's definitely something that I've always grown up with. My first sport I ever played was baseball. My mom let me play football when I got closer to middle school, fell in love with it. And, I just always was taught that, sports is something that came after school, and it was kind of like a luxury or like a treat for handling all of your business academically. So for me, just being able to do the things that I do in the classroom and then getting the opportunity to play sports was just like, it's a blessing for me, and I'm grateful for it because, sports have taken me places that I've never been. So.
Speaking of taking you places, Deion, you told us before we started the interview that you're actually you're packing things up there in Colorado and getting ready to move. What's the timeline for you? When are you expecting to come out here, and what do the next month, 2 months look like for you?
Yeah, so I'll be in Provo full time next week. Found a place to live, signed a lease and everything. So I'm just doing that for the next couple of days, and early part of next week I'll start. To my drive to Provo and getting settled in, and I'll be in workouts with it next week. So I'll be pretty much acclimated and fully within the system. I've already been diving into this playbook. So, we're getting things rolling, and I'm excited.
Well, hey, and coming from Boulder, you won't have to worry about adjusting to the altitude, will you?
Oh, no, sir, not at all. Even though that was something that was a big change for me coming from Houston, sea level a long time ago. It's definitely grown to be a strength because whenever we go to these other places, I can just feel like I can run for years and not get tired. So
yeah, it's not the beach in Galveston, so you're going to be okay. Deion, we appreciate the time, man. Best of luck on the move in a week, and we look forward to getting to know you better when you get to BYU.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Deion Smith, Colorado transfer at running back. He's going to be a nice fit and an experienced guy who's ready for another opportunity.
Wow, I'm a big fan. That was fantastic to hear him. And I love when he was talking about why he's coming here and, the stuff that doesn't matter to him. He wants to come in here, be part of a team with some consistency and play well as a group. I love that. He said, I wanted, this is a ship I wanted to be on.
And I don't want to be told I'm just the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to earn it, and if you're good in practice, you'll get playing time. And he could provide a really nice 1-2 punch there with Aiden Robbins.
Absolutely.
And he's another guy who needs an opportunity, and he's going to get it.
Yeah.
And BYU's got all these transfers who are excited for that same chance, in Aiden Robbins and Keaton Slovis and obviously Deion Smith and others. So
yeah, that interview got me pumped for him to join this program. It's going to be fun, man. Cannot wait. All right, the first Cougar pregame live will get you prepped and ready for BYU's home opener against Sam Houston on Saturday, September 2nd. Join Greg Wrubell, Hans Olsen, Mitchell Juergens, and me as we get you ready for kickoff. We'll start things off 8 Eastern on BYU Radio.
Let's go, baby. Jimmer Fredette, Alexa Gray, Jackson Clough all did work yesterday. Headlines in the whip are up after the break as BYU Sports Nation continues.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
Accidents don't just happen 9 to 5. They happen when you least expect them. The team at Siegfried & Jensen is here for you 24/7. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour. Really here for you. No matter when you call us, you'll speak to a real person and have access to the same expertise and personal attention as always, and get the legal help you need when you need it. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour, 24/7.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
Welcome to a partnership where customer experience comes first. It's our focus. It's your expectation. We provide support to those that go the extra mile for all of us. Supplying products, training, and service for generations. Learn more at bradyindustries.com.
The heroes are taking over Saturday mornings on BYU TV. Heroes who are brave, smart, and wield magical powers. Heroes who are good friends, problem solvers, and kind to everyone. Heroes who work together to lift and inspire, to make someone's day. Watch your favorite heroes in action Saturday mornings on BYU TV, and then go be a hero yourself.
Follow BYU Sports Nation on social media for content throughout the day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Welcome back to Studio B. I'm Jarom. He is Jason. Let's get to today's headlines.
We talked about it to kick off the show. Speaking of kickoffs, kickoff times and TV channels for 4 BYU football games were announced. BYU versus Sam Houston will be September 2nd at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. BYU and Southern Utah will be on ESPN Plus on September 9th at 3 Eastern. BYU at Arkansas, September 16th, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And the conference home opener for BYU against Cincinnati will be September 29th, 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN.
Big 12 also announced bowl tie-ins. The champ goes to the Sugar Bowl unless that team goes to the playoff. Then another Big 12 team goes to the Sugar Bowl. The remaining bowls are these in order of selection: Alamo, the new Pop-Tarts Bowl renamed from Cheez-It, Texas, Liberty, Guaranteed Rate, and then Armed Forces or First Responder, and the Independence Bowl.
Women's soccer announcing their non-conference schedule within the last 30 minutes. The Blue-White game will be on August 5th. You have 2 exhibition games on the 10th and 12th of August. That will be at Rutgers and then versus Idaho State. But then your regular season opener will be against St. Louis here in Provo. Then you'll have Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State at Boise State, a big one on August 31st. Versus UCLA, and then in September at UVU and at Utah.
UCLA, the defending national champions, coming to Provo.
Yeah.
How about that? Jimmer Fredette led his 3-on-3 Team USA team to 2 victories over Latvia and Australia in the FIBA World Cup yesterday. Set to play against Latvia and again against Austria tomorrow. Nice work from the Jimmer.
My guy Jackson Clough had a 3-run triple for the AA Harrisburg Senators, and he win over the Bowie Bay Sox.
Nobody knows.
3-1. David Bowie?
Yeah, the David
or
Bowie.
Or the Bowie knife. We don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea. Former BYU All-American Alexa Gray playing in the Volleyball Nations League for Team Canada 2 days ago had 36 kills in a 5-set match. Just a monster performance. Canada unfortunately lost that match to Poland. Then earlier today, Canada lost to Thailand. Gray had 8 kills and an ace in the match. United States beat Serbia in 5 sets. Former Cougar Ronnie Jones-Perry was on the bench for that one, did not play. U.S. ranked 4th in the world plays 2nd-ranked Italy tomorrow. Those are the headlines. Now let's whip it. Cougar Whip Around is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
LSU is using air-conditioned helmets. There was a social media post about this. I thought it was a joke at first, but no, this is real. Will this be the new standard in college football in the coming years?
I think it could be. They're calling it Tiger Air, sort of like Gatorade is with Florida,
right.
Tiger Air with LSU. This is a great idea. You brought up a great point, which is if you just get smashed in the helmet, does that mechanism stop working?
How is that going to hold up to being hit?
I don't know, but I think this is a great idea, especially in the heat of kind of August and September, especially in the more southern states.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
with the humidity?
Like, even in Utah in August, super hot, right? September some days. I think this is a great idea. If you can get the tech to work there.
It's a great idea. This also looks like this is going to be very expensive. So will it be a standard?
I think the SEC can afford it.
Probably not a standard, because I'm going to assume most probably can't afford it. Or if they can't afford it, they're going to probably put that towards other things.
Jason, this just in, BYU's going to a Power 5 school.
What?
Or going to be a Power 5 school. So BYU's
No, I love the idea. I have no idea how it's going to hold up to hits. It makes no sense.
I love the idea. I think it's great. Jamal Williams wore a visor at practice with an anime character on it. It's awesome. If you had a visor design, what would it be?
I'm going to go back to my childhood, 80s cartoons. I'm debating between either G.I. Joe or He-Man. I think I'm going to land on He-Man.
I loved both those as a kid, too.
So I'm going to go He-Man.
I would go with an Autobot because I love Transformers. In theaters next week.
Rise of the Beast, right?
Yeah, baby.
All right, you're going to come over by my house and still not say hello?
I go to that theater only.
I know.
Literally only that theater.
I know, and you never say
Megaplex and Vineyard.
The Washington Commanders posted a video of Dax Milne making a one-handed grab. Do you think this is a sign of things to come for Dax this season? Let's check that out.
Dax is always ready. Ooh, that was a hard one. I would call this a two-handed catch because you didn't control it with one hand. So one hand's a stretch there. But yeah, Dax is still in the league, still with the Commanders, punt returner, sometimes receiver. He's ready, man. The fact that Dax, a 7th-round pick, has stuck for now a 3rd season is awesome.
Yeah, well,
I think he's overachieved. He's done a great job.
Is it a sign of things to come? Yeah, if they have a competent quarterback. And I didn't even know who their quarterbacks were this year. So I know one of them is Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, and Sam Howell.
So hopefully for Dax, he gets somebody that can actually throw him a decent pass.
Yeah. Zach Wilson to the Commanders. Let's go. The Cheez-It Bowl is ditching its name for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. If you could name a bowl game after your favorite snack, what would it be?
I'm going to go with my favorite candy, which I guess is kind of a snack. I'm going to go with the Hot Tamales Bowl.
Oh, the Hot Tamales Bowl.
I will eat 8 boxes of those.
The coach is just showered with hot tamales.
I love those things.
Okay, I love popcorn. So the Popcorn Bowl, I think, is a fun name. But Orville Redenbacher, I have spent years researching this. Orville Redenbacher is the best to me. It is number 1.
Okay.
It is like Ramsey's legs, the number 1.
Okay.
Coming up after the break, Claire Seymour and Meghan Hunter both qualified in the 800 and the record-setting 4x400. Last week, they're headed to Nationals. They join us to talk about it. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
They prefer to be bringing the heat, getting set for success, demonstrating their drive. But when their blood and sweat turns to tears or anything else, we lay the groundwork for BYU's athletes to hit the ground running again, and you as well. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU athletics.
He knows that he's different. He knows that things are hard for him.
Taking the leg was how we could save her life. I think God put the animals in our path, and I think it is up to us to care for them.
It's like dream come true kind of stuff.
Good job, buddy.
You've completed her life.
He loves it so much.
There are happy endings to tragic situations.
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation live in Studio B. Jarom Jordan alongside Jason Shepard. We now welcome to the program a couple of ladies headed to Nationals in Austin next week, in Claire Seymour and Meghan Hunter. As you guys just are tied at the hip, you qualify in the 800 together and you set the record in the 4x400. Congrats, by the way, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about the 800 first. What was it like to both compete in that and both qualify? Let's start with you, Claire.
It was awesome. It was really tender. There's a big screen that you can see the whole home stretch when you're coming down it. And I was really hoping, I was like, please let it be, like there be a break and Meghan be on that side of the break. And I looked up at the screen and there was a break of 3 and Meghan was right there. So as soon as I crossed the finish line, I just turned around and caught her right off the line. And it was just a really tender moment.
There's some good pictures from this as well that were captured. Megan, what was it like for you to make sure you got to nationals as well?
Yeah, a lot of emotions, and it was super fun doing it with Claire. Yeah, obviously a lot of nerves throughout the whole week, but just really looking forward to this race. And it was so fun to just cross the finish line and just run into her arms at the end, so it was awesome.
That's what we all hope, right? At the end of whatever finish line we have, that someone's there to give us a hug.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, look, I realize expectations are always high for BYU track and field, but when you put in all of this time and effort and training, even if it's something that you expect to happen, what's it like when you achieve the goal that you set out to do? This is for both of you guys.
Well, nothing's ever really guaranteed, which is the crazy thing about track and field. It's like the rounds are so hard, and they're always hard. It doesn't matter how many times you've done them, how many years you've been here, 6 years deep, and I still get so nervous every time. And I feel like doing it every single time comes with a lot of accomplishment and a lot of excitement. And so, this was just like all the other ones where it was nerve-wracking, and then it was over, and it was just nothing but joy.
Yeah, there are just like so many variables when it comes to racing, and a lot of times like workouts go great, and then you go to race and it just doesn't add up. And so, yeah, it always feels good to be able to achieve those dreams that you set out to do.
Claire, you've got the BYU record in the 800. You're number 2 in the country right now. What are your expectations at nationals? The national championship is up for grabs, is it not?
It is absolutely up for grabs. I think I've gotten close a couple times. I got second a couple years ago. So we'll kind of see where the chips fall, but obviously we have big goals and we're just going to go for it.
How do you handle that pressure of like, okay, I could literally win the national championship in this next race?
I think I take it more as excitement and less as nerves. Coach always says that pressure is a privilege, and I think that I take that very seriously, where I am excited to get to do it with my friends, and my family gets to be there. And so if it doesn't happen, it was a good run and still going to be really exciting. And if it does, then obviously the celebrations will be really, really fun.
And what was it like to break the school record that was super old this year? Breaking the 800 record is a big deal at BYU.
Yeah, I've been wanting it for a long time. So I think, I came back, I graduated 2 years ago, so I'm kind of old, but every year that I come back, I'm like, I just want to break 2 so bad. And so, I got really close to breaking 2. And by the time I had realized I didn't break 2, I was like, oh, I got the record. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. So it was really fun. It was really an exciting race, and just excited for what these next couple weeks have.
Megan, qualifying for nationals just by itself is such an accomplishment that you've got to be proud of, but you've had to overcome some adversity, and you had a pretty significant injury that you've had to overcome. And so to get to this point, I know means a whole lot to you. Give our listeners and our viewers an idea of what you've had to go through over the last little while.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey to get here. Just after I graduated high school, I was in a car accident, and I shattered 3 vertebrae, had some spinal fusion surgery, and it's been an interesting recovery. We had a lot of uncertainty, but physically things have gone pretty well, but mentally it's been pretty hard to come back from that. Just with a lot of PTSD and anxiety, and that's really impacted my running. And so there's been just a lot of ups and downs, but I've learned so much from it, and it makes this mean so much more to me than it would have without it.
How would you describe, and you did a good job right there, but sort of the journey you've been on mentally and physically to not only heal, but heal mentally, and I'm sure you're still going through it, to get to this point, just to run, let alone be good at it?
Yeah, it's been very frustrating and disappointing at times, and I feel like I've had many more races that I was pretty sad about compared to the races that I've been excited for, and but it really helps to just put things into perspective and just thinking about wow, these are so many great opportunities that I'm grateful for, and being in that accident made me realize running is not my whole life. There's so much more that I can focus on, and yeah, it's just really put things into perspective and makes me realize I'm grateful for all those moments, even the hard ones that have gotten me here.
And your sister Kate was in the car with you?
My brother was.
Your brother was.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing well. Yeah, a lot of miracles along the way, and one of them was that he turned out all right. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So, take us through what's next for you guys, and how you're preparing and making your way to this next step.
Well, I feel like, the hay's in the barn. We've prepped a lot for this, and this whole season has just been a learning experience, and we're just gonna put in the rest of the work that we need to, and just try to really enjoy this experience and soak it in.
What do you look forward to most about what's coming up for you guys?
Torchy's Tacos, right?
Yeah, I was going to say,
really good, right?
Is it the food? In Texas. Yeah. But like besides the actual event, I mean, there's so many things that are involved. And you mentioned you've been around the program for a long time. What gets you excited about this opportunity?
I think Nationals is so fun. Like, there's just so much going on, and it's so fun to get to bring. I love championship season because I just love that the whole team is together. We don't travel a ton together in the regular season. And so getting to cheer on our boys and then cheer on other women, and a lot of us bring families, our families come to these meets, and so there's just a lot that accompanies championship season that's just so fun, and it just goes back to the basics of track and field. It's just racing. It's not about pacing, it's not about anything crazy, like the technology doesn't matter. It's just about wanting to win, and I think that that's so fun. And then, like Megan said, the hay's in the barn, so it's kind of like you just get to enjoy it now. Like, now the hard work is pretty much over. It just is getting to reap the rewards of that hard energy, so it's good.
Megan, let's talk about the 4x400. You guys set the school record. What was that like? And shout out to Marianne Barber and Briley Pontius, who were part of that 4x400 as well.
Yeah, it was exciting. At regionals a couple years ago, Claire and I were able to break it with some other teammates. And so, yeah, it's just, records are meant to be broken. And so it's fun to be able to just do that again. And I mean, I don't think any of us really were expecting to do that. And so, yeah, it was just a fun end to the meet and super exciting.
So the time, right? When you look at, there's the reaction like, guys, we just set the record.
Yeah.
Like, do you know the time? Are you looking up and realizing that quickly, or does it take a sec, Claire?
I watched the clock. Yeah, I saw it at 200 to go. I was like, oh, crap. And then I think after I see it that one time, I don't look again because it's kind of scary to just be staring at the clock the whole time. But I saw it at 200, and I was like, well, time to go. And then
as the anchor.
Yeah.
Knowing, hey, if I push it here.
Also, 800 runners, we're not sprinters. And so it's kind of funny. We run the 400 a little differently than a sprinter would. And so for us, that first 200 is not as fast as some of those sprinters are. So they're gunning it from the go. And we just aren't that's not how we train. And so it just is so funny to get to run and
bring it in.
Yeah. And it's our last 200 is cooking because we didn't exert as much in the first 200. But it's awesome.
And the 800 was earlier that day?
It was about an hour before.
Oh, an hour
so
before.
We were a little dead, but it was our
yeah, enough for the record in the tank.
800s deep, just hop in the 4x4.
Yeah. And the 400's so awkward, right? It's not a sprint exactly. It's not the 800, right?
Right.
But yeah. Okay. Well, best of luck. All the BYU Sports Nation karma we can give you for nationals in Austin next week. And enjoy Torchies.
Thank you
so much.
Good, right? Fox Rapids, the best one.
All right, join us as we look back at one of the best teams in BYU football history, featuring Steve Young, a quarterback, and a 12-game win streak that helped build momentum into BYU's national championship season. It's the 1983 Reviewables. Check it out tomorrow at 12 Eastern Time on BYU TV and BYU Radio.
Spencer makes the argument 83 was better than 84. Check it out. Today's Rise and Shout Out and Elite Voice of the Day are coming up after the break. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
Perfect time for what?
As you wish.
Are you crazy?
It'll be fun.
Before I was a coach at BYU, I was a BYU fan.
When you hear the crowd roar, that makes it more exciting, more of an adrenaline rush.
BYU Sports, it's all about the fans.
On the season finale of Relative Race,
My mind is going everywhere.
teams gear up to compete for the $50,000. They will face the heat
Let's go.
and brave the flames.
Put your fires out!
But only one can be crowned
We are so close.
Relative Race champion.
Go!
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation is on demand. Download the free BYU TV and BYU radio apps, or you can listen to the podcast. While you're there, please subscribe, rate, and review.
Our question of the day, what's your reaction to BYU football's 4 TV and kick times? Our elite voice of the day is presented by PAX, Healthcare Elevated, Sarah Thomas Bobo on Instagram. Having a variety of game times is nice, but I absolutely love home games. At 8:15 Mountain Time, there's always a great energy at the stadium for a night game. When teams come from the East, BYU has an advantage because they're used to playing late games. It feels even later for the teams to the East, contributing even more to the home field advantage for BYU. Bring on the Big 12 games after dark. I'll have to go back and look up the stat, but Nate Slack looked it up last year and we used it. BYU's pretty tough to beat at home. At one point, it was like 21-2 in the last 3 or 4 years at home. Listen, playing at LaVell Stadium is hard. Playing at night, for some reason, is very difficult for opponents.
Well, and look, it all boils down to just now that BYU's in the Big 12, play whenever.
Play whenever
TV wherever.
Dictates.
Yes.
We're just happy to be in the league.
That is the case right now, yes.
And the schedule's always going to be great. Today's Rise and Shout Out is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. You just heard from Meghan Hunter talking about it, but a couple of years ago on July 4th, had a serious car accident up in Provo Canyon, shattered a neck vertebrae 4 years ago. She has now qualified for nationals. It's one thing to just get back to running in life. It's another to set a school record in the 4x400 and be in the 800. So that's pretty cool. Headed to Austin next week.
We're always told we can do hard things. That is certainly an example of being able to do hard things.
But thanks to today's guests, the aforementioned Meghan Hunter, Claire Seymour, and Deion Smith.
Conversation continues 24/7 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. This and all of our shows are on demand on BYUSN.com.
Sorry to Dennis Pitta. We ran out of time. For Jason, I'm Jarom. Shout out to Wayne Watton. Join us tomorrow for a special on the 1983 football team. Steve Young's on the show. Go Cougs.